I want to compliment Hannah also for putting up with all of our, what time's this meeting and where's it going to be? And she does a wonderful job in maintaining her composure with us. And I do appreciate that. It's got to be like herding cats with us. I also want to compliment, the port staff and Sean for a meeting last night at Ingleside. We had an informational meeting with the citizens, of Ingleside on the bay, regarding some erosion problems that they've got and some wave wash that comes over some of their homes. We had about 60, I don't really how many people were in attendance, 16 of the homeowners, probably 30, 40 people there. I thought Sean fielded the questions well. There were some tough questions, ranging from, why did you sic the FBI on me, which we all shook our head. We didn't understand that one, but how do we build these bulkheads to help keep the water from coming into our yards. So Sean, I thought you did a good job last night in a semi-hostile environment. I thought it was much better than what I thought it was going to be. And thanks to the port for giving us a tour of the homes.
Any other questions?
I got a couple.
Okay, great. Would you mind stepping to the podium, sir, so we can
Certainly.
make sure that everybody, both online and here, can hear you. And if you would, just state your name and your address, that would be helpful for our record.
Tom Mack, 218 Bay Shore Drive. A couple questions I got is I've been reviewing a lot of the older ship documents where we were going to start this back in 2003, and the CQ was announced back then that it was going to be done. Do you know why it hasn't been done in all these years?
Well, I know that was what I like to say is BS before Sean. So I couldn't tell you. Somebody perhaps has a little longer frame of reference. Dan, do you have any answer for Tom on that question?
Yeah, if I could, can everybody hear me okay? So that was a beneficial use site that was authorized for the Channel Improvement Project. The board's been working very tirelessly to build that project since feasibility was done in 2003, since it was congressionally authorized in 2007. Well, that project actually has legs now. We entered into a project partnership agreement with the Corps of Engineers in 2017, which pushes construction of the Channel Improvement Project forward. That piece, CQ, is actually part of contract 2, which was just awarded to Callum Marine. They've actually begun some work on a DMP, a dredge patrol placement area over by Port Aransas. That contract's ongoing. Dredging is expected to start in the summer of next year, but as part of that development, dredging the Corpus Christi Ship Channel, that material is going to be used to create beneficial use site CQ.
Okay, because I was just looking, and it was back in 2003 is when they said it was going to start doing it. I'm just looking at the paper.
Understood, yes.
Okay.
We share the same sentiment.
One other question I have, I'm probably going to butcher this name, forgive me. Your predecessor, Cargello or something like that?
My predecessor was John LaRue.
Okay, well, there was a man named Mr. Cargello that came over here.
It's Carangelo.
Carangelo, yes. He said all the modeling for everything coming in and out of Corpus Christi Bay was going to be at 10 knots. We have ships going past there at 13.4. We have ships that are just flying past there. And those are the ones that, the main problem that I have in my home is concussion waves coming from the Corpus Christi Channel. I don't live on the Corpus Christi Channel. I live on the La Quinta Channel. And what I get is I get waves crashing across. What I get from the La Quinta Channel is the speeds are picking up tremendously by the LNG ships coming out now. We had one the other day, 8.6. And I think what we're getting from that, if you go down and look at your break wall, what you're getting is erosion, because it's sucking a lot of water out and back in. We're not getting, since the Happy Albatross look, we're not really getting flooded from the La Quinta coming in with the ships. What we're getting is the concussion waves from all the ships that are in Corpus Christi Bay. And if you get on the AIS, a lot of them are well over 10 knots. They're 12, 13 knots is the problem that I'm happy where I live. I mean, it's enough that you can be laying in bed Sunday night, your whole house shakes from just the waves coming across. Anyone have anything on that?
microphones to the folks who want to talk. What I can tell you about vessel speeds is it really is up to the master of the vessel and the pilot. And vessel speeds can vary tremendously based on a lot of conditions, weather conditions, the conditions of the vessel itself, and speed or lack thereof. The slower, if anybody, I know most of you probably, since you live on the water, you're familiar with vessel operations. You probably have small craft yourself. The slower the speed, the less maneuverable the vessel is. And so oftentimes when there are certain weather conditions, you will see those vessels transiting at higher speeds. We do try and employ what we call the slow belt at times through different areas and try and encourage the pilots to be very judicious about their speed around where there's populated areas. And certainly the La Quinta Junction is one of those where we have seen at times certain speeds in excess of what we think is appropriate for that area. And we do have a dialogue with the pilots to remind them that it's certainly important to be at least through the Ingleside area there, because not only will that have impact on potential homes and bulkheads there, that will actually, it could cause some of those vessels that are actually at berth to tear away from their lines. Because as you say, that water gets sucked out and then pushed back there, and that hydrological action can actually have a negative impact on the vessels that are docked at the Ingleside Energy Center, or at Buckeye, South Texas Gateway, or at Flint Hills. So there's certainly a lot of different impacts there. Again, at the end of the day, it is up to the vessel master, the captain, and the pilot to determine what's a safe and appropriate speed.
Okay.
I'd like to make, can everybody hear me? All right.
If you can, please use a microphone, because the commissioners that are online cannot hear you if you're not using a microphone. So let's make sure you got mics in people's hands.
All right, so what I was gonna comment on was that one of the graphs did show that the CQ testing that we did, we looked at those outbound Corpus Christi ship channel vessels. We looked at a speed of 12.5 knots, which was based on, a lot of what Sean mentioned. And we, in our model, we try to be conservative to try to capture the higher velocity events. We found a lower surge, but I'm sure we saw that wave propagating, as you're saying. And part of that CQ optimization was to make sure that site CQ was actually stopping that wave. And we saw that in our results, that CQ will stop those waves from impacting the shore.
Fair enough.
So in other words, it sounds like as we do CQ, we'll have a solution to one of those problems at least.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you said it goes back to 2003, I'll just take you down a quick memory lane. So Congress authorized this channel feasibility study in 1990, and it took the Corps 13 years to do just the feasibility study, which completed in 2003. And then it took another 4 years for Congress to actually authorize the project. And then it ping-ponged between some of the bureaucracies for another 7 years, and it got reauthorized in 2014. And then it took us another 3 years, 2017, to actually reach the project partnership agreement with the Corps. The reason why I'm telling you this is because it's taking too long. If we were to do this project today, it probably would not be the project profile that it is. It would be something bigger. Because the vessels have certainly evolved over that same period of time, vessel technology, so they've gotten much larger. And that's why we've got to always impress upon the federal government the importance of really executing on these projects in timely fashion, because as soon as they execute on it, in this particular case, I don't want to say it's obsolete, because it's certainly going to be the most improved ship channel in the U.S. Gulf. But if we were to start it today, it would probably be more like a 60-foot project, not a 54-foot project.
I got one of those houses with a low bulkhead. I talked with 3 different engineers. We had informed me that if I put the overtop on top of my bulkhead, it would crumble it. And if you go down in the water and you look at other people's bulkheads that did it, a lot of them are cracking up. So that's why I didn't do that. It's not that I'm not maintaining my property. It's just the fact that if I do that, it's gonna kill my break wall. And I would like to also ask, if I could please, since I have the commissioner's ears and I haven't been able to get a give and take. Last year, I had the FBI come to my home for 2.5 hours to talk to me about LNG security. Why? They came to my house because there was someone on YouTube that put a video out that said there's a problem with LNG ships that are going by, and they wanted to make sure that it wasn't nothing that was involved with me. There's 16 people, property owners in this room. I was the only one, to my knowledge, that was greeted by the FBI for 3 hours in my living room last year. And my question to you, sirs, did anyone in this room have any knowledge of that? Or did they have the FBI come to my room because they told me that they went through all my social media pages and my partner went through hers, plus they did background checks on me. I'm one of the most vocal people over here where I put out the ship speeds, I put out videos when they come by, and it just seems really coincidental that I was the only one that the FBI came to their home. And what I would like to know from the commission, is that something the commission had? Or was that board staff, or who did that? Does anyone know?
You want me to, so I don't think any of the commissioners.
I have no knowledge of
I
it.
have the FBI's card and everything else to prove that I'm telling the truth.
No, I believe you that the FBI came to your house. This is a federal channel. The Coast Guard has the security authority for the channel. Customs and Border Protection has search authority, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation has investigative authority. And let's face it, we are a target. This is the largest export gateway for U.S. produced energy in the nation. That has displaced other sovereignties, their markets and their market share. Some of them are very nefarious. Venezuela, Iran, Russia, these are all energy producers. So the federal government takes any threats for interruption of a navigable waterway, a federal navigable waterway, seriously. It's no different than if you were at, going through the TSA at the airport and you joked about a bomb. They're going to take that threat very seriously.
I didn't joke about anything. There was someone that put a video. They said they were there for my protection.
The video was from California.
And they were there for my protection. But they weren't worried about the protection of the other 16 people that lived along here, just me. And after I came back, I'm honorably discharged veteran, many years in service, and I have a clean record. They went through everything. But my question is why was I singled out the other time? I do social media. I know you all know that. And I'm wondering if perhaps that was the reason.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of anybody at the Port Commission or port staff, for that matter, who made any reference or referral to the FBI for any of your, any of your activities.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sean, for the benefit of everyone here, would you talk about
You just heard the actual audio that took place at the meeting at the Brass Turtle at Ingleside on the Bay on 16 November. The commissioner was insinuating that somehow it was a semi-hostile meeting, that basically he made it sound like some nutcase yelled, "Why did you stick the FBI on me?" As you can hear, I didn't say that. The Port Police told the FBI that there was a lady with a Facebook page. That's why they came over to talk to us, because someone in California put out some video on YouTube that said he had a dream about taking over a house on a ship port. And that was the predicate for the FBI to come to our home. The Port Police told them there's a lady with a Facebook page. I waited until I could have a give and take with the commissioners to ask them face to face whether or not they had anything to do with it, and also Mr. Strawbridge. I addressed him as sir. I said thank you. I didn't interrupt him. I didn't do anything wrong. But yet, the commissioner was 10 feet away from me, and I was at the microphone, and if he had a problem with the question, he could have confronted me right then and there. But what he did is the next day he goes and makes a comment for the public and insinuated the fact some crazy man was asking a question over here. There was nothing but sunshine and unicorns over here at Ingleside on the Bay because everyone just wants their property to be spared from the ships. The bigger the ships, the flooding, the concussion waves, and everything. We're just begging for help over here. So everyone was nice to the commissioners. Everyone was respectful. No one is being in disagreement. The meeting went well, and they told us that basically they're not responsible for anything, and they are not legally responsible is the term they keep using. But however, they might take a look at some things. So basically everyone was hopeful. And I basically wanted to get questions answered myself that I don't really think that we got answered. And we're just going to continue on trying to save our homes over here at Ingleside on the Bay. But this pompous commissioner, and the way, and what's the really ironic part, he represents San Patricio County. And this is what he thinks of the people over here. I was surprised it went as well as it did. Like we're some kind of heathens over here and we were going to scream and yell and disrespect the commissioners for coming over. This is why people have a problem with the Port of Corpus Christi. They can put every billboard up in the world that they want. They can do all the PR that they want to do. But when you have commissioners making comments like this, I can only imagine if this commissioner had the FBI in his home for 2.5 to 3 hours, and he was the only one that was signaled out in his whole neighborhood, if he would have questions. But apparently you don't ask the commissioners any of these questions, or you're labeled as something. It's too bad. All right. Thank you.